What is that noise?
This is the ghost.
Oh! Oh, hey! Hey, you all still talking in here?
What are you doing?
Her back went out, and I just did the best thing, which is get right on the muscles so they don't seize up.
Just add some heat to it.
Merry Christmas.
Next year I'm gonna ask Santa for breast implants because I'm impatient with my body.
So good. Ah, gosh! It's gone into a real bad spasm, so I put a yoga move on her.
Let's rock and roll. Okay, so I wanted to bring up the topic of this show is about immigration fraud. Here we go. This is the news that brought us to this topic. Okay, this is from Axios, publishing on February 11th, 2025. House Republican fundraises with petition to deport Ilhan Omar. Let's read here, shall we? And then we're going to jump into the details that we know of Ilhan Omar and what the Somali community is saying, what DNA has said, what fraud may have happened here, and also note the fact that Ilhan Omar has been very, very upset and been doing quite a number of media rounds on this issue. So it makes it particularly pertinent to talk about. House Republicans are doubling down on a call to deport Somali American Rep. Ilhan Omar, Democrat from Minnesota, with a fundraising email urging supporters to sign a petition to that effect, Axios has learned. Why it matters. One of the most graphic examples to date of incivility, ladies and gentlemen, has gripped Congress. The fundraising email titled Petition to Deport Ilhan Omar, Brandon Gill of Texas, Republican, campaign wrote that we should have never let Ilhan Omar into the country. And frankly, America would be a much better place if she were to be sent back to Somalia, the email continues, according to copy obtained by Axios. The time has come to arrest and deport Ilhan Omar and sign my petition to send her back to Somalia. Brandon Gill, let's continue. Gill homed in last week a video of Omar advising Somalis in her district that they were not obligated to answer questions from ICE and urging them to learn the laws and prepare yourself. I think we have that video. We can play it for you. Ilhan Omar has also said that she wants to completely dismantle the Minneapolis police, among with many, many, many other statements that do certainly seem not akin to creating, well, a high-trust society. Gill's fundraising email on Tuesday accused Omar of facilitating a full-scale invasion of the country. Normal society would refer to that as treason. Spokesperson for Gill did not immediately request for comment. Democrats obviously don't like this. Ilhan Omar says it's fascist remarks. I think that you could argue that actual fascism is completely dismantling an independent police force and setting up state police, setting up state-sanctioned free speech. Talking all about that. Omar came to the United States as a refugee during the Somali Civil War in 1995, became a U.S. citizen. And she says, I hope that Representative Gill learns a thing or two. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's move over to what actually happened with Ilhan Omar. Let's jump on over here to the Daily Mail. Okay, this reporting exclusive from the Daily Mail. And we're going to add our own little reporting to this, and I think it will be a very interesting question moving forward, right? For how we conduct immigration in this country. Ilhan Omar did marry her brother and said that she would do what she had to do to get him papers to keep him in the United States, reveals Somali community leader. Okay, let's read from the Daily Mail. Let's just investigate this topic on its face. Ilhan told friends years ago that the man who went on to become her second husband was in fact her brother, according to the Daily Mail. Abedakam Osman is the first person to go on the record to speak about how Omar said that she wanted to get her brother papers so that she could stay in the United States. It's been long rumored that Omar and Ahmed Elmi are siblings, But because of the lack of paperwork in war-torn Somalia, proof has never been uncovered. The Somali community leader said she said she needed to get papers for her brother to go to school. We all thought that she was just getting papers to allow him to stay in the country. Omar was married to her second husband, Elmi, in 2009 by a Christian minister, although she is a Muslim. It's very strange. She was first married to Ahmed Hirsi in 2002 in a Muslim ceremony before they split in 2008. But she later had another child with Hirsi while legally wed to Elmi. Of course, would be frowned upon in any secular or religious relationship. Osman said that Hirsi and Ilhan got married. A lot of people were invited. It was a big Islamic wedding uniting two large clans in the community. He added when he married Elmi, nobody even knew about it. No one knew that there had been a wedding until the media turned up a certificate years later. So what this Somali leader is describing is immigration fraud that is intended to be a chain migration, right? So you say that I'm an American. I am going to now bring members of my family, my husband, my children, over because I'm married to them. You're going to have to provide documentation for that. And this is what the Somali leaders in Ilhan Omar's community say. Now, for the first time, one of the friends has come forward to reveal exactly how Omar and Ahmed Elmi scandalized the Somali community in Minneapolis. This Somali leader is one of the first people to go on the record to speak about how Omar said she wanted to get her brother's papers so he could stay in the United States at the time when she was married to her first husband. So what this individual is content. So here's the fraud, at least what we know on his face right now. Okay, this is what he is contending. And the individual is a Somali leader by the name of Abedikam Osman. He's saying that while remaining married in a Muslim ceremony to her first husband, and while siring children with him, in fact, she did a civil wedding at a Christian church with a Christian minister to the man who is biologically her brother in order to have the documentation to bring him over here. And that would be immigration fraud. That'd be immigration fraud, of course, committed by all parties, but specifically the American citizen, the naturalized American citizen. Because you're lying. And it's gross. And it gets weirder. Osman's revelations are sure to renew calls for an investigation into the Minnesota freshman representative who's repeatedly refused to answer questions on her marriage. She originally said that the idea of that spouses were also siblings was baseless and absurd rumors accusing journalists of Islamophobia in order to get them to stay quiet. Her spokesman told the Daily Mail that she does not comment on her personal life. Omar married her first husband in 2002 in a Muslim ceremony, like many in the immigrant community, was not registered with the state. Their first child was born the following year, and the second followed. But in late 2000, Elmi appeared in Minneapolis with Osman, who referred to Hirsi by a nickname, Southside, throughout the interview. People began noticing that Ilhan and Southside, Hirsi, were often with a very effeminate young guy. He was very feminine in the way that he dressed. He would wear light lipstick, pink clothes, very, very shorts in the summer. People started whispering about him. Ilhan told me that it was her husband, and Ilhan told me that it was her brother who had been living in London. But he was mixing with what were seen as bad influences, and his family did not like them. So they sent him to Minneapolis to rehab. Well. Okay. So there are various layers here. So the religious Muslim community, Somali community, didn't like the poor effects of globalist avant-garde London modern culture on her brother. And so they made a play to bring him to heel and to bring him back into the fold, as it were, by getting him stateside. When her first husband and Ilhan got married, a lot of people were invited. It was a big Islamic ceremony uniting big clans in Minneapolis. There were 100, 150 people there. When she married Elmi, no one even knew about it. No one was invited. Osman said at the time that Hirsi was better known than Omar among Somalis. He was a footballer. He promoted a lot of Somali shows. He was very, very popular. So the scandal about his is more about him than it is about Ilhan's brother. It was long rumored that Omar and Elmi are brothers and sisters. But there's a lack of paperwork in war-torn Somalia, so they don't have state records of this. All right. The first report that Omar and her husband were siblings appeared on a website, Somali Spot, in 2016. It was reported by their own community. As soon as Ilhan Omar married him and started at university or at her alma mater, shortly thereafter, he moved to Minneapolis and he was living in public housing complex and was later evicted. He then returned to the United Kingdom. The New York Post reported last month that the FBI is investigating the marriage and had met with a source in Minneapolis who handed over a trove of documents related to the marriage. This is where our reporting comes in, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what we can add to all of this. According to our sources, there is a preponderance of documents on the federal level that exist in immigration agencies, Homeland Security agencies, that would undergird this story as true. I've spoken with people who've seen these documents, and it's clear that it's not just this, but there's a series of major immigration frauds that occurred in this chain migration. I've only spoken to sources. They have to remain anonymous. But these are people with direct knowledge. They said this is shady as hell. There was an FBI report into this. Apparently a trove of documents. Any findings were to be established with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the U.S. Department of Education, and the paper reported. Anybody found guilty of committing marriage fraud faces up to 5 years in jail and a fine of $250,000. Elmi and Omar married in February 12th, 2019, in Hennepin County office, Eden Prairie, Minnesota, southwest of Minneapolis. Their marriage license shows. Omar said that she and Hirsi had separated in 2008 because their faith-based union was never recognized by law. Neither is their separation. Elmi and Omar said they lived together at an address in Columbia Heights, a suburb in the north side of the city. The marriage was conducted by a Christian minister, Walesia Harris. When Daily Mail approached her last year, she would not discuss the ceremony or why the Muslim couple asked a Christian minister to marry them. She and her husband Marcus run the Great Mighty Works Ministries in Richfield, Minnesota. Were described on his Facebook page as a non-denominational, Bible-believing, Bible-teaching Christian church. Jesus is anointed one. Strange person to have you marry. Strange person to do a Muslim marriage. Here's a photo of allegedly Ilhan Omar's brother here. Again, just you can see sort of the behavior that the Somali leader is talking about here, right? What might cause alarm for a very traditional, very orthodox Muslim family, right? Okay. So then you finally have the marriage certificate that scratches out their names, gets their names wrong, and leads to a lot of questions. These are the questions, ladies and gentlemen. So now this has reached very interesting levels of questions. Ilhan Omar is attacking Doge, attacking Trump's deportations, and people are resurfacing this reporting. Elon Musk said, wow, in talking about it. Senator Mike Lee said, is this legal? How is that legal? This would be a question. Ilhan Omar response. The only thing that is confirmed is your stupidity. I hope that helps. Okay, so Ilhan Omar going hard at Juanita Broderick. Got it. And we have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, along with Lauren Boebert, we have that Lauren Boebert clip, ALX, Lauren Boebert from the floor of the House. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is it'd be nice to get these questions finally answered, right? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't that be the point? So here's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Lauren Boebert called her brother lover on the floor of the House. I'm not getting that wrong. She called her brother lover. She said, I didn't marry my brother like someone, and then she looks over at Ilhan Omar, gives daggers over here, is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Damn autocorrect. Every time I try to type your name, it keeps correcting to brother effer. Ilhan Omar, marriage fraud is a felony. Free upgrades are nice on airlines, but marrying your brother to give him an upgrade is a felony, and I look forward to making sure it is investigated. Well, 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 ladies and gentlemen. So the pot is officially boiling over. And, well, we're looking for answers. We'd very much like to have answers from the feds. Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody just investigate this and tell us once and for all what happened? The documents exist. Our sources say that these documents exist and that they're very, very bad for Ilhan Omar. Here's what Lauren Boebert, the great Lauren Boebert, had to say about the quote-unquote brother husband from the floor of the House. And I quote,
Democrat policies are so pathetic and have done so poorly that the left has nothing else to do but troll the internet looking for ways to get offended and then try to target members and strip them of their committees. This is a dumb waste of the House's time. But since the Speaker has designated the floor to discuss members' inappropriate actions, shall we? The Jihad Squad member from Minnesota has paid her husband, and not her brother husband, the other one, over $1 million in campaign funds.
Well, there you go. So it'd be nice to take this from meme, right? This is something that's been talked about for ages. It'd be nice to take this from meme to actual investigation. And everyone should welcome this. Ilhan Omar should welcome it. Okay, if you're innocent, clear your name. But she's not acting like an innocent person. She's running around silencing reporters, throwing out names to even talk about this. Well, all of this reporting is based on your own Somali community. And then you see the actions of Ilhan Omar. And there are these videos that are popping up of Ilhan Omar begetting immigration fraud. Here's one that was just published days ago of Ilhan Omar in Minneapolis telling what I would assume to be young refugees, young members of the Somali community, how to commit immigration fraud. Little on the nose here. Let's go.
Omar, how about Omar? Omar's in.
saxaafadda ayaa tala bixin siisay dadka sharciga aan haysan ee ku nool dalkan.
waxaan ula talinayaa dadka Soomaalida ah haddii ay maxaa la dhahaa ii sheeg ice ay isku dayaan inay ku su'aalaan muku qasban tihid inaad su'aalahooda aad ka jawaabtid waxaad dhihi kartaa lawyer aan ii advice garay inaanan ku jawaabin qasab ma aha magacaaga iyo sharciga ku joogtid iyo waxaas oo dhan iisa ku imaataybo inaad kala hadashid marka baro sharciyada iskuna diyaari in aad maxaa la dhahaa ii sheeg aadan dadkaaniiti aadan u sheegin information aadan rabin inay ogaadaan.
I mean, what you would what you would call this is you would call this interference with federal law enforcement. Withhold information. Don't tell them anything. Quickly. Here's the pathway to not be deported. Here's the pathway if ICE questions you, how to get around ICE questioning you. An absolutely insane thing that AOC is being investigated for right now by ICE. Absolutely insane. Don't disclose your name. Don't tell them your immigration status. Don't tell them your mode of entry. Learn the laws. Prepare yourself. Don't cooperate with federal law enforcement. Well, you are federal law enforcement. You're a member of the Constitution. You're a member of Congress. And you're sitting here advising people who may or may not be criminals how to not get caught by federal law enforcement who are enacting the laws of the country. Seems pretty damn guilty to me. So, President Trump, who would have the power to look into something like this, which is all that we're calling for, right? I'm going to play you now a series of news reports on this. What's been reported, what we know, and what the administration could do, which is launch an investigation, like all the name calling be damned, and get the facts, like tell us the truth. It's going to be pretty easy. Is it her brother or not? Was it a legitimate marriage or not? Was this marriage, while she was having kids with her husband in a large Muslim, so that she married in a large Muslim ceremony, was this marriage a fraud in order to get legal citizenship status for her brother? This is the question on the table. Everyone's making jokes and memes about it, but let's do the investigation. From the year 2020, FBI reviewing claims Ilhan Omar married her brother. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is reviewing claims that Ilhan Omar married her brother, the Post has learned. 2 FBI agents held an hours-long meeting in Minneapolis in mid-October with a concerned party who handed over trove documents on Ilhan Omar's 2009 marriage to Elmi, allegedly her brother. At the meeting, first reported by The Blaze, the agents discussed concerns that the Somali-born Democrat is a British citizen rumored to be her brother, so he could obtain a green card and study in America. The two agents said they would share the information with U.S. Customs Enforcement and the Department of Education, but did not commit to opening an investigation into the firebrand lawmaker. If Ilhan Omar did marry her brother and was found guilty of committing marriage fraud, it's a felony, punishable by prison sentence and 5 years, $250,000. The three government agencies said they would not confirm the existence of an ongoing potential investigation. Congresswoman Omar's office did not respond. The 38-year-old's complicated personal life has been the subject of enduring scrutiny since she was set to Congress in 2018 midterm. In October, the mom of three filed for divorce from Ahmed Hersey after the Post learned exclusively of allegations that she was having an affair with a D.C. political consultant. Omar initially denied the split, but the source told the Minneapolis Somali community that the pair broke up months before and claimed Omar was privately lobbying Hersey to divorce her. Listen, just call it what it is. It's a mess of a life, okay? No matter what. Hersey, the father of 3 children, remarried just 37 days after the divorce, was finalized November, and Omar had been repeatedly photographed leaving the same Washington, D.C. apartment. However, it's Omar's 2009 marriage to Ahmed Nur said Elmi, which raised eyebrows and now prompted the involvement from the FBI, records indicating that she lived with both men at the same time. So what the hell is that about? Omar and Hersey were engaged in 2002, but never legally married, having a Muslim ceremony instead. The next year, the Congresswoman married Elmi, who she described as a British citizen, on her marriage license. Allegations that Elmi is Omar's brother first emerged in the since-deleted post of the Somali Spot message board by a user named Abdi Johnson. So there we go. The Somali community source personally observed Omar, Elmi, and Hersey all living together in the same family home with the couple's children. The trio then decamped to North Dakota, where Omar began studying. So she lived with both husbands? Really? Take a step back. What? Omar and Elmi split 2 years later. freshman lawmaker, got back together, and they had a third child after her second marriage. However, it wasn't until 2017 when Omar finally got around to divorcing Elmi. She legally wed Hirsi months later, right before she was sworn into office. Now she's divorced again, and now she begins, and now she has a different relationship. Here's husband one, husband two. Here they all are together. Huh? What? That's all we want to know. We just want to know the truth. Here's President Trump asking the same questions. What's the truth here? Let's go.
Omar, how about Omar? Omar's in there too. She doesn't like Israel too much, does she, huh? Didn't she marry her brother, right? She came in, she married her brother. This is nice. And they don't do anything about it. They don't do anything about it. With us, they do everything, right? Oh, they do everything.
Just open the investigation. How many investigations they open into Trump? This is a question. If you are innocent of these things, then you'll welcome the investigation, right? It's like, so a cop shows up, knocks on your door, and says, we think you're a serial killer. We're going to bury bodies in your backyard. We're going to dig around back there. If you're not the serial killer, you'll be like, have a good time, enjoy your workout, make sure you put the grass back, you won't care. If you are a serial killer and you have a bunch of bodies in your backyard in shallow graves, you'll begin to sweat. You'll begin to be very upset about these things. You'll throw a fit. You'll maybe run from the scene of the crime. So, like, in these situations, always look at who's behaving as an innocent party and who's behaving as a guilty party. Flashback, ladies and gentlemen. Tucker Carlson reporting on this issue with Trace Gallagher. Let's go.
When the accusation was first made a few years ago, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar tried to knock it down by calling it absurd. Then when the media turned up a wedding certificate, Omar went silent, refusing to make any comments at all, saying she does not talk about her family or personal life. Well, now others are talking, like Abdul Hakim Osman, a prominent member of the Minneapolis Somali community, who is now on the record telling the Daily Mail that in 2009, Ilhan Omar married her biological brother, Ahmed Saeed Almi, so that he could legally remain in the U.S. and attend college. At the time, Omar was married to Ahmed Hirsi, but it was a religious marriage, meaning there was no Minnesota state record stating that she and Hirsi were husband and wife, and so marrying her brother would allow her sibling to get his legal immigration documents. But Mr. Osman isn't just saying that Omar married her biological brother. He also gave the Daily Mail the name of the Christian minister who married them. That minister reportedly says she does not want to be involved or interviewed about Congresswoman Omar.
Okay. I guess that's your right. But on an issue like this, wouldn't you want to clear the air? What would easily clear the air here is DNA evidence. Miranda Devine, an excellent reporter for the New York Post, back in the day said she had the DNA evidence. Let's listen.
So it's been known for quite a while that Ilhan Omar apparently married her own brother to help him gain entry illegally into the country. That's a violation of immigration law. That actually happened, it turns out. And now we're learning the FBI had evidence to confirm it, but didn't do anything about it. Miranda Devine is an actual journalist. She works at the New York Post, where she writes a column. She joins us tonight to explain what exactly happened. Miranda, thanks so much for coming on.
Pleasure, Tucker. Well, some basically Republican operatives up in Minnesota decided to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on private investigators to really find out if Ilhan Omar was a genetic match, the DNA match, to the man who was her second husband. They went to 3 continents. They found a cigarette butt and a drinking straw, which they sent it to a DNA laboratory and found conclusively that the DNA matched, that the second husband was a sibling, according to this DNA sample. So the very day that they were going to unleash this on the world, and in fact I was interviewing one of the people involved, the FBI swooped on the gentleman, Anton Lazaro, from this Republican PAC up in Minnesota, and arrested him on some different charges. Who knows whether, he's guilty or not guilty. I mean, he's not guilty until proven, but he's in jail. And so his story never got to see the light of day. I mean, luckily he'd told the FBI they were not interested. They told him the statute of limitations had run out. We managed to see the website before he took it down, before he was arrested, and managed to report the story such as it was.
So there's a 99.9999999% DNA match that a journalist got before being arrested? It just keeps getting weird. It's just weirder and weirder and weirder. Okay, what about the statute of limitations here? Ladies and gentlemen, Miranda Devine, at the time, statute of limitations. What exactly is that for immigration fraud? And what exactly is, where did this case go, right, over the last couple of years? It does seem to be boiling back up with the recent news from new member of Congress, Brandon Gill. Let's go.
I wonder, just kind of spitballing here, what will be more shocking to her fellow liberals? The fact that Ilhan Omar had an incestuous marriage to her own brother, or that she smoked cigarettes? Which will they be more stunned by?
Definitely the latter, and they've got photographs of her smoking the cigarette, so I don't think that's at all in doubt.
Yeah, incest is just a kind of alternate lifestyle, but smoking a cigarette, that's immoral. So just to be totally clear, she did marry her brother, we know that. Not only repulsive, but illegal, it's fraud. She's not been indicted, she's not going to be indicted, that's totally cool now?
Well, the FBI was told by one of these associates of these people that found the information and was just told no, that they've just decided the statute of limitations has run out on marriage fraud, even though there's no statute of limitations on immigration fraud.
Yeah, or on smoking cigarettes, apparently.
No statute of limitations on immigration fraud. So everybody who's a part of this should be welcoming the investigation. Obviously, the guilty parties will be the ones who scream, kicking and crying about it. And the innocent parties have nothing to hide, right? Yes. Just one final clip from the archives, since we weren't expecting this to be something that rockets back up to the top of the news cycle, but here we are, and it's worth dusting off these 4-year-old clips, because this is the last time people were really talking about this at scale. Now with a new Trump Justice Department and a new Trump Immigration Department that's very concerned about people who broke the rules to come here, perhaps we can get a proper investigation, which is all we've ever been calling for. The feds have these documents, right? So let's just have a look.
So I'm not sure that we explained that, or I explained that very clearly to our viewers, but give us the quick overview of how likely it looks that Congresswoman Omar may have committed marriage fraud.
Well, I think it looks very likely, actually. As you mentioned, a lot of these documents have been dug up. David Steinberg and others have done a great job over the last 3 years now digging up this information and putting it out there. The Minnesota media has simply failed to act, and the Minnesota media is decidedly liberal, and they are attached to the PC culture so much that they aren't doing their job here. And, I think it begins with the Star Tribune needs to take down their picture of Ilhan Omar that's posted on their office wall. So that's really what we're dealing with here in Minnesota, Tucker, and I really appreciate you covering this here tonight. But this whole thing, my involvement in this began really about a year ago when I discovered that then State Representative Ilhan Omar had been fined for the 3rd time as a freshman representative here in the state of Minnesota by the Campaign Finance Board, and then I discovered that she had actually taken money then from the public universities in the state that the committee upon which she served made funding decisions. It was a direct violation of Minnesota House rules. But the interesting thing is Representative Omar covered the whole thing up by waiting a full 5 months and violating the law to cover it up so that she could make it past her endorsing convention, which happened 3 days before she finally posted the information, and she could avoid an inquiry from the Minnesota House Ethics Committee at that time because we were already out of session.
So election fraud and immigration fraud and marriage fraud. Well. Not exactly the kind of person who should be cooking on national news talking about how criminal the Trump administration is and Doge. Probably best to keep your mouth shut. If you have that many skeletons in your closet, what do they say about glass houses and throwing stones? So, ladies and gentlemen, all we've ever asked for and all we are going to want on this front is a full-scale investigation. That's what we're going to be requesting. That's what we want. And we want an actual investigation where you relay out the facts about this. No more of these like headlines like this. Ilhan Omar caught in double life. She's not fooling anybody. Secret hookups, romantic vacations to Jamaica with her married aide. They live together on and off. She has multiple divorces going on. The entire thing, it seems like, according to the sources, lies and hypocrisy and sneaking around, and it's all going to finally come to an end. These are what people in her orbit are telling the Daily Mail. It all needs to come to an end. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that could happen very quickly with an actual investigation. And again, the reason why we are on this topic is because here from the New York Post, Republican lawmaker is fundraising off petition to arrest and deport Ilhan Omar to Somalia. Now, we had asked the new representative, his name's Brandon Gill, to be on the program. Brandon Gill had a very unfortunate scheduling conflict and travel conflict. And so, unfortunately, Brandon Gill will not be able to make this program. But once again, maybe he has information that we don't. I mean, this is why we were very interested about this. Maybe he's seen the documents that we hear rumors about. Maybe he's seen them. Perhaps he knows something that we don't. And so we'll look forward to speaking to members of Congress. And then here's Brandon Gill's tweet right here. We should have never let Ilhan Omar into this country, he says, in response to Ilhan Omar hosting workshops for Somalis living in the country to legally advise them how to avoid being deported. It's right down in the article, Klein. You just give it a scroll. Yeah, it's embedded in the article. So there you go. This is what members of Congress are saying, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and so on.